Hello everyone, my name is Gabriel. In this tutorial, we are going to be learning how to graph dataset in Eviews. This tutorial will be divided into three parts. The first part is on how to graph single series. The second part is on how to graph multiple series. The third part is simple panel data. The datasets for this tutorial will be available in the description link below. To open the dataset, click on File, Open Foreign Data as Work File. Using the monthly sheets first. No, no. Let's open the SP500. Click on View, Graph, Line and Symbol, and OK. The graph is shown here. Eviews plots the data in a series using a line as displayed here. Let's focus on the period from January 2008 to November 2012. We use the slider here to do that. We are going to January 2008. January 2008. You can also use this for adjustments. This is for increment or decrement. This we are going to January 2008 as first. Then November 2012. This is. So this is how the graph looks like. If you would like to apply the sample you see in your graph to the entire workfile range, right click on the slider, then set as workfile sample. As you can see, this changes the sample to the one set in the slider bar. It is also very easy to plot the bar graph in Eviews. Go to View, Graph, Bar. Let's say we want to focus on January 2000 to December 2002. January 2000 to December 2002. January 2000 to December 2002. The graph is shown here and is a bar graph as we specified. Before we proceed, let's set the sample to include all data sets. We're going to the sample here, type in all. Okay. We can also decide to create a graph of the series. To do this, we freeze it. The auto update dialog box open. Off. Selecting off, we create a snapshot of the current graph. Selecting manual or automatic update, we keep the graph object tied to the original series. So now we are selecting off. OK. This will create a snapshot of the graph. This is the snapshot here. You can also create dot plot. Dot plot uses circles to represent the value of each observation. Let's say for instance we are using this data set here, TBO3M. Click on View, graph dot plots. Okay, this is the dot plot here. You can as well add a histogram along the data axis. Histogram on the axis border. As you can see, the graph is shown here along with the histogram. Dot plots are also used with cross-section data. To do that, let's use the panel sheets for this data. Let's use the panel sheets for this data. For example, let's say we want to plot the government debt as percent of nominal GDP for 2010. For 2010 alone. Click on sample. Then we set the date to 2010. So this will restrict the data to only 2010. Now let's open the total debt. Can you see? 2010. Let's plot the dot graph. As you can see in the graph here, Japan had the highest government debt to GDP ratio in 2010, nearly 200%, while Spain the lowest, can you see, 66%. You can also create a bar graph. Bar graph use bars to represent the value of each observation. Double click bar graph, apply. Use the bar graph for 2010. We can also add numerical values to the bar graph. Double click on the graph, then go to the graph element, bar area by, then label above bar, apply, okay. We can as well rotate the bar graph. Double click, go to orientation, then rotated, apply, okay. This will rotate the bar graph horizontally. Now let's move to the second part of this tutorial, which is the multiple series simple graph. Multiple series simple graph. Let's use the monthly dataset for this. Now we are right clicking on the T-bill 3M, T-bill 6M, T-note 2Y, T-note 10Y, in that order. So to do this at the same time, we hold our Control Shift, then select it, T-bill 3M, 6M, 2Y, and 10M. Control Shift, then select it, Control Shift, then select it. Then you right click, open it as group. The group of series is now created. Let's click on name and name it as group O1. Naming it as group O1. Click on view graph. Then line symbol. Then for the multiple series, single graph. Click on OK. You can as well plot the bar graph for this bar. You can also look for the mean. Mean. The graph is shown here. Each bar represents the mean of each series. You should notice that the TBU3M is lower than that of 10Y notes. We also have multiple series scatter plots. Scatter plots are used to visually examine the relationship between variables. Let's create another group by selecting 3M, 1Y, 2Y, and 10Y together. We hold our Control and the Shift. Control and the Shift. Then you select it. 3M, 1Y, 2Y, and 10Y. Then we right click, open as group. Name it as let's say interest rate. INT underscore to rate. Now let's plot the scatter graph here. Scatter. The multiple series open here. I click on single graph, first versus all. Okay. The graph is shown here. But it is difficult to discern all differences, but clearly there is a positive relationship between the 3M and other interest rates. If you want to plot a scatter plot of a particular series against all others in separate graphs, double click multiple graphs, then first versus all, multiple graphs, first versus all. Can you see that? We also have the pie charts for multiple series. Pie charts are only available for multiple series. To do this, we are going to be using the panel data. First, let's set the sample to only 2010 dates. We need just for 2010. Let's create a new series called local debt, which is derived by subtracting central government from total debt. Go to the command window, then series local debt. We are creating a series. Then we subtract it. That's total debt minus central government. That is, local debt equals to total debt minus central government. Click on OK. Now this is new series. Local debt. Now let's create a group consisting of local debt and central government. Local debt, local debt and central government. We are holding the control and the shift. Control and the shift. Local debt and central government. Then right click, open as group. Then we name it as local central. Let's create pie charts for this. Click on view, graph. This is the pie. So click on OK. The graph is shown here. As seen, central government debt for all countries is much larger than local debt. This is government, central government, that's the red, is much larger than local debt, which is denoted by the blue color. The third part of this tutorial is the panel graph option. Panel graph option. First, we need to set data to include all the observation. So let's open total debt. Click on view, graph. So let's use the bar chart for this. It's what we call the stack cross section. These are the panel options. We have the stack cross, individual cross, combined cross, mean of cross, and median of cross. Let's start from the stack cross section. The stack cross section simply stacks the data for each cross section and plots the data without regard for the panel structure. Okay. Let's conclude for everything. The graph is shown here. You should notice that each country's debt is plotted for all available years, 2000, 2007, and 2010. We also have the individual cross section. If you want to observe each cross section series individually, you should select the individual cross section. You can notice that the debt level has risen dramatically for all advanced countries in 2010. For all advanced countries in 2010. We also have the combined cross section. You can plot your cross section values by year in a single frame by using the combined cross section option. As seen, debt level has risen in 2010 for all countries. Japan has the highest debt GDP ratio, while Spain the lowest in 2010. We also have the combined cross section. Combined cross section. Eviews allows you to plot means or median by using the option cross section. Means by cross section. Let's say we need the mean. Mean cross section. Can we see? The graph is shown here. That is 76% of GDP in 2000 and 111% of GDP in 2010.